this video I want to talk a bit about depression and recovery from anorexia, and more specifically my experiences with it at the moment. And I just want to preface this video by saying that I'm not a mental health professional, and so anything that I talk about or suggestions that I make regarding what I'm doing to try to help myself right now, it doesn't necessarily mean that you should do what I'm doing. I guess the main point of this video is just I wanted to share my experiences right now in case that helps anyone to feel a bit less alone, because I know for myself, struggling with depression or an eating disorder or both can feel really isolating, but you're not alone, and there are other people going through similar things and it's shit, but you're not alone. And I also really wanted to talk about depression and anorexia recovery because dealing with my depression has been a big part of my recovery from an eating disorder. I think sometimes mood disorders are dismissed as like a byproduct of an eating disorder, and it's true that eating disorders do hugely affect your mood, but I knew in my case that I'd had depression for a while, and that I definitely think that I do have, or I have in the past, used anorexia as a coping mechanism for my low mood. Obviously through recovery I've learned that that is ineffective. Using your eating disorder behaviours might provide very temporary relief from depression, but in the end, in the long term, you just end up with bad depression and a really bad eating disorder. So, not going down that route. Yeah, so I hope this video isn't really negative, but I guess they are quite. But I also just want to be real and talk about what's been going on for me, and in case you can relate to any of that, I guess. I really don't want to eat right now. And that is the reality of recovery sometimes. It's not always easy to make yourself eat when you don't want to, or when you're having a lot of thoughts and you feel like, well, I'm feeling really bad now, how is eating going to help anything? But then the thing is, I'm already feeling pretty terrible, so eating probably is not going to make it worse. And at least then I'll have some energy. I don't want to be negative, but I also just want to show the reality of recovery, that it's not always easy for me to eat, especially when my mood has been pretty low recently. And then I just really lose my appetite, but I've worked so hard in recovery and I'm committed to recovery. So even if I don't feel motivated right now, I'm still committed to eating, committed to recovery, because I'm thinking about the future me. These low feelings will pass, but my eating disorder will not if I give in to my thoughts and act on my eating disorder urges. So I'm gonna go eat lunch now. Phantom Street. It's really dark outside today and I kind of love it. I want to talk a bit about what I've been dealing with. So basically, our country went into lockdown like 5 weeks ago, knowing that lockdown would cause a lot of changes to my life and could potentially be quite an isolating experience. I tried really hard to implement strategies to help me manage my mental health, because I know that both my depression and anorexia could easily be triggered by such massive changes. There have been heaps of suggestions and tips thrown at us on social media and in newspapers and all around about how best to manage our mental health during this time. So I try to take on board some of that advice and do activities beneficial for my mental health. Zooming friends, getting outside with mum, going for walks around the neighbourhood, lowering my expectations of my productivity during this time. But regardless of doing those things, my mood has been consistently low. My appetite has dropped, as I talked about in an earlier video. Despite living with really supportive family, my parents, and Zooming friends regularly, I felt pretty isolated with my own thoughts, I guess. So that's why I really wanted to make this video, because if you are out there feeling like you're the only one with these horrible thoughts, you're not, and I hope that's somewhat reassuring. Anyway, so I've been wondering why. Why is it that I've been doing all the right things, but I still feel kind of shit? And I think there are several reasons why. One is that what others suggest is beneficial for their mental health might not necessarily work for me. Walks are a great example of this. Like, for someone who struggles with depression but not an eating disorder, maybe walks really do help them. For me, walks can easily become compulsive, so I can't rely on walks as a coping strategy. Joining Zoom meetings apparently helps some people, and for me, I find that joining Zooms actually often leaves me feeling kind of worse, because the talk inevitably turns to COVID-19 and the situation around that, and I get more anxious afterwards than before. Not always, but quite often that seems to be what happens. So what helps others might not be helpful for me. Also, times change. Like, this lockdown has been going on for 5 weeks. What helped me at the start of the lockdown might not necessarily help me now. For example, at the start, Zooming friends was somewhat exciting. New technology, excitement at being able to still connect with people from my own home, wearing relaxing pants. But now I have several recurring catch-ups each week, and I feel obligated to keep them up, even though I'm feeling pretty drained and I'd kind of like a break. Also, this situation is unprecedented. In history, there has not been a pandemic like this where the world has basically locked down. So I don't think anyone really knows how to handle this situation. People have suggested tips, but since this situation hasn't happened before, they're kind of just guesses. Some are more educated guesses than others. People don't know how to handle this situation. And finally, this is just a shitty situation. These are really challenging times, and I recognize that I am very fortunate where I am, and I'm really grateful for all that I have, but I do think it's important to acknowledge and validate my feelings of stress or feeling low. This pandemic has also impacted me negatively, like it has everyone, I think. Regardless of others being worse off, my feelings are still valid, and I need to acknowledge those. I'm feeling like crap. What now? There are valid reasons why, but what now? And obviously, this is just what I'm trying to do. I can't advise other people. So for me, I am lowering my expectations further. So I had already accepted that I wouldn't be as productive during this time. I probably wouldn't pick up a new skill. I might not get around to baking the quarantine banana bread, but I'm dropping those expectations further, getting back to basics, eating enough, taking my meds, trying to get to sleep early because sleep has a big impact on my mood. I'm trying to get on top of my mental health before it gets on top of me. Work is not going to be my priority right now. To be honest, work is never my number one priority. My health in general is always going to be number one, because if my mental health suffers, so does everything else. That's a really hard pill to swallow, but it is vital that my mental health comes before my work, always. What I've already done as well is I reached out to my therapist this week and we had a session, and we'll have another session soon too. And I've also opened up talking to friends and family, and no one can fix how I'm feeling, but at least I don't have to wear a mask, and it is okay to not be okay. I mean, I want to acknowledge here that it is actually quite difficult to reach out for help. Like, emailing my therapist asking for a session is difficult because there are so many people struggling. I feel a level of guilt about reaching out, but I know that's illogical. I deserve help just as much as the next person. You deserve help too. You don't need to lose weight, you don't need to reach any kind of sick enough goal to be deserving of help. It's good if you can get in there and get help before things get even worse. Also, taking my meds, I just wanted to throw that in there as a reminder, and also just in case it's something you were wondering about that might help you. Taking medication has really helped me in my recovery from anorexia and in managing my depression. There is no shame in taking medication. I think that a predisposition to depression, like with anorexia, is probably based in genetics and biology. So my brain just needs a little help getting the chemical balance right, and that's okay. Keep eating, even though I don't want to eat necessarily. I cannot afford to relapse. I'm committed to recovery even when I don't feel motivated. Motivation waxes and wanes, but commitment always. I'm also trying to engage in self-care activities that actually work for me, not someone else. So I've cancelled my Zooms this weekend because I recognise that I need a break. Maybe I'll lie in bed, watch Netflix, rather than going for a walk, play The Sims or something. Self-care can only be defined as that if it actually makes you feel good or me feel good. Like, it's quite individual. And finally, the hardest, but I think perhaps the most crucial thing I'm trying to work on is adjusting my internal monologue to one of self-compassion. So when my head is giving me crap for not going for a walk or getting outside, or for eating a piece of pie, or I'm trying to reframe and think, well, how would I treat a friend? I would say to a friend, skipping a walk doesn't mean you're lazy. Your body needs rest. It is okay to acknowledge that. It is okay to respond to that with rest. Rest is extremely important. I would say it is okay to cancel your Zoom meetings. Your friends will understand. They wouldn't want you to be feeling drained, and besides which, you can't pour from an empty cup. I just want to finish off and say that hey, we're doing okay. We're just doing our best, and that is enough. I will record again soon, and I hope that you are coping as best as you can with this situation, and lots of love to you.